My journey to self-employment was actually more or less straight out of uni. So I'd done my photography degree at Blackpool and Fylde College, and I was looking for work, and there was a studio locally to me in Rottenstall looking for a photographer. No, not for assistant, sorry. And I went for that position, but ended up being a freelance position. So that's how I ended up starting running my own business. So I worked with them for a good few months. We were working on bedding and curtain stuff, so I was assisting at that time. And it took me on from there, and that's 20 years ago. So I set off, like I say, on that freelance journey of being a photographer's assistant. I was working in commercial studios, helping not only on the photography side, but the styling side, because that's what an assistant did way back then. And from that, I went to other studios and did other commercial stuff. But then, as my confidence grew as well on the side, I did do my own projects. I worked with my own clients, and that was in the depths of weddings and portraits. Like everybody still asks me, so do you do weddings and portraits? And 20 years on, I can say no, because, like I say, I've evolved. I've worked out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. My family life's changed. For time when I set up, I was single. I've since met my now husband, and we've got a beautiful daughter together. So everything's evolved and helps me work around that work-life balance that suits us and suits the family. Pricing. It's the wonderful question we all love being asked. I know I set off many moons ago, really not knowing. Again, in that first commercial studio, I should have asked the photographer. I put in a day rate, which was actually below, so no wonder they kept me going for so long. They were so happy with that price. And again, I've learned from my peers. I've asked other photographers in the industry what the rates were, what I should be pricing at. But then more recently, I've flipped that and not just gone with what the industry is charging. The overall position to be in is to look at your finances, set what financial goals you want to cover what your bills, your expenses, all that kind of stuff, and then work on from that. Have that baseline, because we need to all cover our bills at the end of the day, as much as we still get asked for free of charge stuff. And yes, but yeah, it's looking at that, and then again, or probably only recently. Again, coming into 20 years in business, is the incremental price increase each year. We have it, inflation, all that kind of stuff, but I have put it forward actually in this year, and nobody's batting an eyelid, which I find reassuring actually, that people have gone, yeah, there's an annual price increase, fair enough, and carry on. And then for other bits, rather than it just being, I come up with shoot, turn up with my camera jobs, I'm now going as more the visual strategist, the advisor. So there's a lot of pre-work that goes into a shoot, not only the shoot and then the aftercare. So it's now becoming more packages rather than just like day rate, half day rate. So it's evolved, it's grown, and it's still ongoing. I won't lie, it's always a minefield to navigate. My red flag for clients or people approaching me for work, first thing is they're asking what your price is, and you don't know what you're pricing against. It's like, well, what do you want me to help you with? And that usually sets off a red flag for me, because again, I've evolved my process to having that. We need to have a conversation to understand what your aims are, how I can help towards those aims, and then if we're the right fit. So yeah, I'm just asking straight on price, or do you do weddings and portraits? Oh, that has to be the best one as well. As a photographer and AI, oh, that's a very good question of how it positions itself. And yes, there is its challenges, its threats. You've got like Google Nano Banana, which can create quite good images, but it's also there to help us in the industry. So we've been using it for years, like the clone and the heal tools in Photoshop, which we take out those nasty things like, yeah, like say in a building, you've got the emergency exit sign, which need to be there for health and safety, get that, but we don't need them in the back of a photo. Things like that that now come out dead easy with AI. I love it. Yes, there is people using it to do it for like headshots and stuff like that, but you can tell. And the business I'm winning at the moment is through people wanting authentic, people-led photography, and AI cannot do that. So there is a big market out there, which I really enjoy working with this people-led photography, and I'm just looking forward to seeing where it goes, because I've got some very exciting projects coming up with it. in the back end of the business, there's so many things it can be helping us with now. So, like, I'm using it just to help understand what my clients are saying, what the feedback is, and pulling that together and just helping pull them tons of threads together so I can use it onward in my marketing. So it's there to be used in the right sort of ways as an aid, but not as a, like a, just to use it fully for your marketing, say, for example. It can be used in the right way and help us go forward. Social media is a great tool. It's a great, more often than not, free platform that we can use to help promote, attract, and engage with potential clients. It helps me keep showing up, keep there, being visible for people, but it can be time consuming unless you have a really clear strategy and a plan to know what you're doing with it. It's probably the main place I have marketed myself beyond like in-person networking and just, yeah, referrals and onwards. So it's there for a place. There's a whole host of like the paid advertising, the sponsored posts, which I've not had to go and navigate and had to go and play. But yeah, it's platforms, it's having time to do it. I'm probably, LinkedIn is probably the place I hang out the most on. Instagram, secondly, it's a little bit more personal on there because you might see like my PT sessions and stuff like that on there. But it's again having the time, and it's like which bit do you balance on? And for each individual business, it's best is to look at where your marketing is worth spending the time. For like me, I've got an email list there of people that's already interested in me, so I do use that perhaps a little bit more than over the social media channels that I'm present on. So I've networked throughout my business actually. In those early years, I did start going meeting other people, other like-minded people in business, which I found invaluable for the peer-to-peer support. It is a bit of a love-hate thing for me, as with many people, being quite introverted, as much as you're probably not thinking, oh, she's a guest on a podcast. No. No, I am quite introverted really, and that going, talking to other people, I do find hard, I do find scary. But the key thing for me is if I've got my camera in my hand, I'm there with a purpose. I find that a good bit easier because that's a conversation opener. And over the years, I've learned when I'm not with my camera how to work that through. But yeah, it's good to have that other support, and you get, whether it's networks where it's, for me, other solo business owners or creative businesses coming together, or local businesses in my area. That's the other way that I've done it as well. Or then just into bigger networks. It helps you with that confidence to approach people. It is through meeting a lot of these different people that I have gained quite a few of my clients over the years. I know they haven't come the next day. In many cases, some lead time has been 10 years, I think, for one client to come on board, and I've known them that long. So there is some easy wins, don't worry. But yeah, I love working and making those connections, because then when you do get the jobs, you know they're the right jobs for you. So for helping like beat with isolation, perhaps of working for yourself, I myself work from home. I've got a home desk space. There's the things like of co-working spaces where you can go and be with like-minded people who might be in that same boat but want some community aspect. For me, that isn't always viable because a lot of my editing is done on my main desktop computer. So I have to think about what work I can take out that's on my laptop to be able to go and use those spaces. Other things that I do for isolation, again, networking has been a big part of that to help me make connections, bridge those gaps, and then being parts of online communities as well. So for me personally, I'm part of a brand photography community, so that gives me the like-minded people with the brand photography aspect, which I love, and just the support and enthusiasm that I get from that mentor. And then otherwise, I'm in like the marketing meetup in Lancashire, so I'm in their WhatsApp group, so we're always chatting on there. And just having those networks, and I'll be honest, where I'm sat here today, I'm actually in Big Tank's office, and they're a great business to work alongside. We complement each other with our services, but then we've got that support of, especially like in COVID, we were having good conversations about what was happening, what was next, and keeping us focused and positive are actually what we could do. So having that mixture of like-minded people in business or in your industry sector can really, really help you combat that loneliness. And don't forget, I work from home. My husband works from home too, so I'm not that far away from somebody. And I get quite often do the school run most days, so I get to see mum friends as well. So having that personal social life as well, do it. Otherwise, you might go a bit stir crazy. I had a really big bout of burnout back in 2022. In the summer, I'd lost my dad, and towards the end of the year, approaching Christmas with work and family life, I just fell apart, I won't lie. And I did just have to completely pull back on work. I know the January, February, I did 4 jobs between those 2 months, and I wasn't my best on those jobs. And I did explain to clients, I was like, look, thank you, but I'm just trying to get through this tricky time, and I needed that much rest. And it's an ongoing thing for me. And what I'm learning is there's an element of neurodiversity with me and what those burnouts can look like. Because if I people too much, if I'm around people and socialise too much, I do need that backspace. So again, that helps me for working from home as actually, because I get that space as well around it. But coming back to burnout now, what do I have to put in place? I have to try and calendar block where I can. It doesn't always happen. It's like, for example, this month, every Thursday night, I'm out on a job. So I'm now trying to balance that out. So last night I didn't do some personal fun activity that I would normally do to balance that out. And it's just knowing that where I can, putting those down times in, making sure I've got time with my family and doing those things that I personally love doing outside of business. It is hard, I won't lie, because as a solo business owner, I am solely reliable for bringing in those next new leads and clients. So it's like where to keep pressing the gas on, and trying to find that balance is tricky. It's always going to change. It's always going to ebb and flow. And as much as I want to be on top of it and organised and ahead and have a schedule, it doesn't always happen. I won't lie. For like the things like the marketing, it just happens. And I'm trying not to be too pressurised with it and going with the ethos of something out there that is good enough rather than going for perfectionism. And that's what I try and work with. So the one thing that I wish I'd have done sooner, and I always advise anybody now that I'm talking to about business, is create a database. My database was my email inbox for many, many, many moons, until one business advisor, but actually in COVID, he just suggested I use free HubSpot. And that started me on the process of being a lot more organised, a lot more structured and streamlined. I've since moved away from HubSpot and gone on using now Zoho One. So I'm using many different elements of that to bring it all together. But it means now I've got a place where I can go and look, see what's happening and know what I should be doing next, rather than sitting there twiddling my thumbs thinking what I'm doing next. But yeah, keep creating that database, even if you're setting up just having a simple spreadsheet, which will probably get big and messy in no time, but don't worry, because that's always a good sign of things happening. But some way of tracking it. And the other thing that not shown, but I haven't really done, is like tracking and measuring stuff, and then having goals in the back end to track again and measure against. There's a lot of business stuff that I've perhaps never been shown, never learnt, and I've mumbled my way through, but it's only recently through working with a business coach that I'm now putting like goals in per quarter, and then I've got something to benchmark against. And yeah, it's helping me think clearer, not panic as much, especially looking at that quarterly overview for a business. January, for example, was a quieter month, but over the full quarter, I'm well on target, so I wasn't panicking, and it just allowed me then to rest and relax in my downtime. So as a sole trader, there's many aspects to the business beyond just going clicking that shutter button. Honestly, that's probably what I spend the least amount of time doing, is actually going taking the photographs. So before all that, we've got to have a funnel and bring in those clients in to enable me to go out and take the photographs. So whether that's through networking, social media, all different types of marketing. Also, it's keeping a track and logging all those conversations and where they might lead to. Once you're doing the jobs, you've got things to consider, contracts, but there's loads of support for all this. Don't worry about all this. There is plenty of places you can go to for support. Contracts, and then I'll go and take the photos. The edit afterwards is all the storage, the client, the file delivery, and then any after work that we do together. But beyond that, we've then got all the finance and accounting side for whatever you've invoiced. You might have taxes to consider. I've operated for 20 years as a sole trader. If I do change and go either to a limited or VAT registered, help, because I'm just too used to knowing what I do need to know. But that's why I've got a team around me, with it, whether it's my accountant or I've got people within business support that can help me with stuff like that. And yeah, there's just so many aspects to running your own business beyond perhaps just doing your craft. So really give it some thorough research, but ask people for support. There's plenty of people out there that's willing to help you and support you. So one big thing that I really love about working for myself is the fact that I can be around and more present for my family. So when I originally went freelance, I understood the time constraints of, at the time I was working in central Manchester. It was an hour and a half commute each way, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to have a family and be able to leave a small person at 6:30 in the morning and not return till 7 o'clock at night. It just wasn't feasible. So that was a whole reason for me going full time into my own business, to have that flexibility. Now she is in school, I'm able to, where I can, either nudge the diary around a little bit or just block the times out to be present for when these things happening in school where wants me to go into, or even in the evenings. And it also does allow for the flexibility with taking her to after school clubs and stuff like that. So we do a lot of dancing, and it's great to be a part of that and be flexible. Or in the case of when my dad was ill before he passed away, I was able to be more present and there to help with my mum. And again, we've been to a family funeral. I was able to move work around to be able to attend and take family members to that funeral. Meant I did work at the weekend, but we had that flexibility, and that has been the main thing for me. I won't lie, it's not all roses. There is late nights because you've got deadlines to meet. I'm on with one very soon, which will mean I get home at 1 a.m. in the morning, and there'll be a school run to do at like 8:30 the next morning. Oh, when we just get the can you just, oh, I've had that many a times over the years, and I have given in many, many, many times. But it's learning to be strong, learning what you've put into your offering, your package, whatever service you're working with. And if it's beyond that, just having a really good think about, is it worth saying no to it? Is it worth saying yes, it can be done for an extra fee perhaps? Or just generally it's out of the remit. So for me, like say on editing, I'll do a little bit of light editing. I won't do a lot of airbrushing. That's not my style. But then if somebody comes to me wanting full beauty retouching, say on portraits, I would personally say no, because that is not how I see and how I want the images that I produce to be seen. And it would be a no, please go and see somebody else because we're not the right fit. Or if it is beyond the reach of a realm of my skill set, I will use some editors and that just to help me get those right jobs for the right people with the right things. But yeah, it's learning to understand where your boundaries lie and stick to them. So it might be creep, might be also coming to time management. So if people are asking you to do stuff out of hours, you're getting messages out of hours, it's how you respond, how you reply to that. So I do have a policy that if I'm emailing or if I'm doing a bit of work in the evening, because I've been flexible in the day, I'll schedule all those emails to go out the next day, because it seemed to be within my operating hours and sets a precedence. And that's a big thing, is setting your stall out and saying this is what I offer when I offer it. And yeah. If you were starting out in freelancing, one thing I would really recommend is just knowing your numbers, knowing what your baseline is of what income you'd like, because don't forget you've got your taxes to take off for that, any sick pay, holiday pay, them things aren't included. So looking at them figures and really drilling down what it is you'd like to earn, and then putting it into how many clients, how many packages, or how many services, or how many products, depending what your business is. Looking at that on how many sales that is, and then working it back through to then how many potential clients you might need to get that, how many leads, how many conversations to make them into leads, and then work it back and just have a plan from all that. I know it seems a bit overview, but honestly, having a bit of a plan and a bit of structure, and then you're not stood there at the beginning, perhaps at day one, of going twiddly-diddly-dee. And the other thing I did personally was, early years in my freelancing, I did get a full-time job as well, but I still kept my freelancing job going. I had an B option there of why the income was coming, and it meant I built up that business, I built up the network for when I was ready to go into it full-time. So if there's options of building it in the background before you perhaps go full-time freelance, do it, because that will give you some basis, some structure, and just some way of understanding what's potentially on the horizon for you. Over the years, I've suffered with a lot of self-doubt when things like I've sent a client their images and then I don't get any thank you, any feedback whatsoever, and then my mind can go off down a massive rabbit warren of going, well, what went wrong, what went right? And I've learned now that people just get busy, and just to do that follow-up nudge and just say, just checking in, what's going on, hope you're using the photos really well. So that's always been a big thing for me, of just hearing crickets, nothing in the background. But I've also had it in at the time of shooting as well, and perhaps clients, we haven't just been on the same wavelength. This was probably early doors in my career where we hadn't had the full briefing conversations beforehand, and they're just not happy with what they're getting. I'm like, well, what do you want? And having to handle that on a shoot is very high pressured, but being able to handle that in the right way and build and keep with the trust of clients has been really important and invaluable to my business. Otherwise, yeah, you've got the imposter syndrome perhaps of comparing yourself with other people, other like-minded people within your industry, and like, well, they seem to be doing better, they seem to be doing better. But don't forget, it's only what they're projecting and what they're putting out. There's probably a whole load of stuff that's going on in the background that you don't know about. And yeah, imposter syndrome can be part of that for people. They just can make you be a recluse in a way, because you just don't want to perhaps see the world. But I've learned to push through that and just go, no, I'm valued. I'm here in this world for a reason, and I'm here to serve people, help them be seen, be visible, and get the right sort of photos they need for their businesses. What does success look like to me? For me, it looks like having the work-life family balance that I look forward to, being able to spend time with the family, being there for my daughter when we need to around school, and having some financial reward in with that, so then we can enjoy things like nice family holidays. But what that success for me might not look like for you. So this is what you've got to understand. What does success look like for you? Whether it is some financial reward, whether it is work-life balance, it could be other things as well, such as having things like cars and whatever else you might like. But understanding what that success is for you, then you've got those aims and goals to go towards, is key for measuring your success. So what's authenticity and being authentic in your business? It seemed as a buzzword at the minute. It's not more. It's far more than a buzzword. It's just being truthfully, honestly you, and pulling that through. And by being honestly yourself, you will attract those people that are like-minded, that agree with you, and are on your wavelength, on your vibe. So that overall means your business is then a joy to work in. If you start putting masks on and trying to be something you're not, you will end up attracting other people that you perhaps don't just see eye to eye with, and then it means for a miserable business. I won't lie. Been there, done that, put masks on, and I'm learning to unmask. And again, that's part of the neurodiversity that I've got. I felt like I've had to blend and camouflage over the years, but it's now in the last probably couple of years that I am just really truthfully being honestly me, and by doing that I'm attracting the right sort of clients I want to work with, and it's bringing a lot more joy into my business. Do I ever turn away work? Yes, I do. I won't. It's not been an easy thing to learn to do, because you might have times when the calendar's looking a bit quiet, the pipeline might be looking a bit lean, and you think, oh, I'll just do that one. But those that do slip through, there's quite often a bit of a negative element with it and regret, and it doesn't overall fit with the well-being. So I've learned to check things in against my overall goals. Is this going to help to achieve my overall goals that we've got for the business? If it's a yes, it goes through. If it's a no, it's a toodaloo. When people come to me asking for working within the charity sector or say covering a charity event, quite often I'm asked to do it for maybe free of charge or a very low value. The way that I've worked this now through my business is to have a charitable donation budget for the year, and once that is allocated, being used, there's no more. And if you don't get your dibs in quick when that allocation's set in April, don't be, and I'm not bending over then backwards to help those out. I have done a bit, I've allocated my share. Some years it might be in allocation with how much I earn, and there might be a bit of wiggle room towards the end of the year, but I don't overstretch myself. But I am giving back to the local community. It is always things that I agree with, I am in support of, and that's part of my CSR at the end of the day. But I don't overgive, because at the end of the day, we've got a house, we've got a family, we've got a home to support. I do have booking agreements and contracts in place for all my clients. Yes, I have been burned over the years in business. I've had a shoot cancelled at 5 p.m. for a 10 a.m. start the next day. And that meant I couldn't book anything else in. But this was before I'd put all this in place, and the business disappeared. So I lost that revenue. So yeah, now I've put in booking agreements and contracts in place. It also, for the likes of me being in the creative world and being in the photography, allows me to, with the client's permission, use photos. Some don't always allow that, and that can be through, like some people I work with, we work with minors, so we've got under 16, under 18-year-olds, which to try and get permission again then from parents to be used in my marketing is very, very tricky. So the clause can be waived within the right means of that bit, but it's so valuable, so important to have yourself covered in case of any accidents and to stop the loss of income like I had in that case.